After 15 years of silence, my brother sent me one text: check the basement. My name is Ethan Carter, and for 15 years, I hated my brother more than anyone else on earth. Not because he stole from me, not because he betrayed me, but because he disappeared when I needed him the most. I still remember the night Daniel vanished. Our father had just died under what police called a tragic accident. Mother was broken. Bills were piling up. The family business was collapsing. And while I stayed behind trying to hold everything together, my older brother ran away without saying goodbye. No calls, no letters, nothing. For 15 years, I carried that anger like fire inside my chest. Then, 3 nights ago, after our mother's funeral, my phone buzzed at exactly 2:13 a.m., and for the first time in over a decade, I saw Daniel's name appear on my screen. My hands literally froze. I opened the message expecting some long explanation or apology. Instead, it said only 4 words. Check the basement. That was it. No, how are you? No, I'm sorry. Just check the basement. At first, I thought it was some sick joke, but something about it felt wrong. Cold, like a warning. I barely slept that night. By morning, I found myself driving back to our childhood home. The same house I swore never to return to after. Mom moved into assisted care. The place looked dead. The white paint was peeling off the walls. The front yard was buried in weeds. Even the air around the house felt heavy, like the building itself had been holding its breath for years. As soon as I stepped inside, memories hit me all at once. Dad yelling from the kitchen. Mom crying quietly at night. Daniel sneaking snacks upstairs and blaming me when they disappeared. Back then, I thought we were a normal family. I had no idea we were living inside a lie. I walked slowly toward the basement door, and instantly I remembered something strange from childhood. Dad never allowed us down there. Ever. The basement door was always locked. If we asked questions, his mood changed immediately. Stay out of the basement, he would say. And trust me, when Dad spoke like that, you listened. Standing there as an adult, I suddenly felt that same childhood fear creeping back into my body, but Daniel's text wouldn't leave my head. So I opened the door. The hinges let out this awful scream that echoed through the house. Cold air rushed upward. I grabbed an old flashlight from the kitchen drawer and started walking downstairs. Each step creaked beneath my feet. The basement smelled like mold and rust. At first, everything looked normal. Old furniture, dusty boxes, broken shelves. Then my flashlight landed on the far wall. Fresh cement. My heartbeat slowed instantly. One section of the wall looked newer than the rest of the basement. And the closer I got, the worse it became. There were scratches on the cement. Deep scratches. Like someone had clawed at it. My stomach turned. Then suddenly, my phone buzzed again. Another text from Daniel. Dad lied to us. That was the moment fear became something else. Anger. I immediately called him. Straight to voicemail. Again. Voicemail. Where the hell have you been for 15 years? I screamed into the empty basement. No answer. Then I noticed something lying beside the wall. A hammer. I stared at it for a long moment. Part of me wanted to run, but another part needed to know the truth. So I picked it up and swung. The sound exploded through the basement. Crack. Again. Again. Chunks of cement started falling apart. Dust filled the air. Then suddenly, the wall collapsed inward, and I saw a human hand. I stumbled backwards so fast I almost fell over. For a second, my brain stopped working. The body was wrapped in old plastic sheets, partially decomposed after years hidden behind the wall. But what truly destroyed me was the necklace around her wrist. My mother's necklace? The same necklace she claimed she lost nearly 20 years ago. I felt sick. Actually sick. That's when I heard footsteps upstairs. Slow. Heavy. My heart nearly exploded. I grabbed the hammer tightly and shouted, "Who's there?" Silence. Then a voice answered from upstairs. Ethan! I knew that voice immediately. Daniel. I ran upstairs so fast I nearly slipped on the stairs. And there he was. Older, thinner, beard full of gray, but still my brother. The brother I spent 15 years hating. Before he could even open his mouth, I punched him straight in the face. You left us, I screamed. He hit the wall hard but didn't fight back. You abandoned Mom. Blood ran from his lip as he slowly looked up at me. You think I wanted to leave? Then why did you? He looked toward the basement and quietly said, Because Dad murdered someone. Everything inside me froze. I laughed because it sounded insane. I saw him do it, he whispered. The room suddenly felt smaller. He brought her into the basement the night you slept at your friend? Jason's house. I came home early and saw Dad dragging her body downstairs. I shook my head immediately. No, you're lying. He saw me watching, Daniel continued. And he threatened to kill Mom if I told anyone. I couldn't breathe properly anymore. All those memories suddenly started changing inside my head. Dad's temper. Mom's fear. The silence at dinner? The way she jumped whenever he raised his voice? My father wasn't strict. He was terrifying. Daniel slowly reached into his jacket pocket and handed me an old photograph. In it, Dad stood beside a woman I'd never seen before. But I recognized her face instantly. The body in the basement. She worked with Dad, Daniel explained. She discovered he'd been stealing money from clients through the company. I stared at the photo in horror. And he killed her? Daniel nodded slowly. I ran because I was scared. For the first time in 15 years, I saw tears in my brother's eyes. But before Mom died, she contacted me. I looked up sharply. What? She wanted the truth buried before she passed away. The sentence hit me like a truck. You're saying Mom knew? Daniel closed his eyes. She knew everything. I sat down because my legs suddenly felt weak. My own mother had lived with this secret for years. Then Daniel reached into his pocket again and handed me an old cassette tape. Mom recorded this before she died, he said quietly. She wanted you to hear it. We found Dad's old tape player in the living room. When I pressed play, static filled the room. Then my mother's voice came through. Weak. Shaking. Ethan. Daniel. If you're hearing this, I'm gone. I instantly started crying. I'm sorry for lying to both of you all these years, she continued. Your father was not the man you believed he was. Daniel lowered his head. Then Mom said something that completely shattered me. The night your father died. It wasn't an accident. I slowly turned toward Daniel. He looked destroyed already. Then came the words I'll never forget for the rest of my life. Daniel killed him. Silence swallowed the room. I didn't mean to, Daniel whispered immediately. Dad was beating Mom. He grabbed a knife. I pushed him and he fell down the stairs. I couldn't even process what I was hearing. For 15 years, I had blamed the wrong person. I worshipped my father's memory, hated my brother, ignored my mother's pain, and the entire time, Daniel had been carrying this nightmare alone. Then police sirens suddenly echoed outside the house. I looked at him in shock. You called the police? He nodded slowly. I'm tired of hiding. Blue and red lights flashed through the windows. Daniel looked at me one last time and quietly said, I know you probably still hate me, but I never stopped loving you, little brother. Then he walked outside and surrendered himself. And honestly, for the first time in 15 years, I didn't know who the real villain was anymore. If you enjoy this story, please subscribe